This video is actually going to be about my experience as someone who has body dysmorphia, what it's like for me, and also we'll go over a situation that really indicated that I needed some outside help with this because I'm unable to manage it by myself anymore. Before we get started, let's start off with a definition. Body dysmorphia is a mental condition, and basically what happens is you can't stop thinking about perceived defects or flaws in your appearance. Some of the time, like, these flaws are actual real flaws. Like, you could have like a skin condition. For instance, I have hyperpigmentation, so I spend a lot of time on like skincare and doing things to like try to balance out the tone of my skin. And because I have such an obsession with my skin and hyperpigmentation, I think it's far worse than it actually is. And when I point it out to people, they have to get like really close to my face to see it. Like, for whatever reason, they don't notice it, and it's like so blatantly obvious to me. So that's just an example there. It's also characterized by anxiety. Sometimes it can make people antisocial. It also creates distance in relationships because constantly people may need validation. They may constantly ask their partners or even their family, hey, how do I look? Am I attractive? Does this look okay? Do you see this? Do you see that? They may feel the need to like constantly receive validation and check in with the people around them. So that's just like a brief, like, high level overview of body dysmorphia. If anyone is interested in more information, I can definitely gather some more, and do like a follow-up video, more educational video if that's what anyone is looking for. This is actually supposed to be more of a personalized confession, if you will. This is just like from my point of view. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So this is body dysmorphia for me. I should start here. So I have body dysmorphia, but despite the name of the disorder, my issue is my face. I don't particularly like my nose. I feel like I'm asymmetrical in many areas, and like, it's weird because I don't necessarily dislike my features and I don't want to look like anyone else. I just have this constant urge to make myself look better than I actually am and kind of fine tune the way that I look. So I want to look like myself, but I want to have like a smaller nose, and like I want to like eliminate like some of the loose skin. And I know like there's not much, I know, around my jaw, and I just want to like tighten things up and make things more symmetrical. So I like looked at like getting a rhinoplasty. I decided I didn't want to do that. It's very painful and it's quite expensive too, and I just thought there was just a better use of like $10,000 to $15,000, to be honest. I could put that money elsewhere instead of putting it on my nose. I mean, it just didn't make sense to me to spend that money on that. So then I started looking at like PDO thread lifting, and it's this like whole procedure where they put like surgical grade thread in your face, and basically they make your nostrils smaller, and it's like kind of like you can use it to like prevent a facelift. So there's that. And so I looked at that, and I probably will get that eventually within the next couple of years, just to like kind of fine tune my appearance. But the whole point about this video is not talking about the procedures that I want. I digress. The whole point is to talk about the experience of someone with body dysmorphia. Now, to start, the way that there's a disconnect when you have body dysmorphia. There is a disconnect between the way that you perceive yourself, the way that you see yourself in pictures, the way that you see yourself in the mirror, the way you see your body when you look at it. There's a huge disconnect from it, from what you actually look like. So the two best examples outside of myself that I can provide is, one, anorexia, right? So there's people who suffer from anorexia, And when they look at themselves, they see someone who's far larger than they actually are. Um, so they'll constantly try to find ways to lose weight, because when they see themselves, they see someone who's overweight and they're actually like half starved, you know? So there's that. Like, and not to make light of the situation, like, I have an eating disorder too. It's just not completely anorexia. All right, so there's that. Then on top of that, like, the other example I had was, I actually have a family member who has body dysmorphia. It's very attractive. She is a little overweight, and she expressed to me one day that she thought her body was disgusting, which I was like really confused. And she expressed that, you know, she felt like she had like cellulite all over her body and it made her ugly and almost looked deformed. So she decided that she was going to show her body to me, because she had a hard time even being naked in front of herself, sadly. So she showed herself to me, and honestly, the woman didn't have like any cellulite on her body at all, and she was fucking beautiful. Like, yeah, she was overweight, like slightly, but there was nothing like sagging on her, there was nothing drooping on her, and her skin was just like so buttery soft and so perfectly smooth. It was just like delectable looking, and I'm like, yo, how the hell could you even like feel bad about yourself? And I'm looking at her and I'm like, you're beautiful. And I'm like, yo, if I was a guy and I wasn't your relative, like, I would definitely want to smash that right now, because you're looking really good. Like, honestly, like, you know, she's my relative, so we're Black. She reminded me of like a Renaissance painting. Like, yeah, the women in the Renaissance times, they were a little overweight for today's standards. Back then, no, you know, they had boobs, and, you know, they had a nice like round supple stomach, and they had thighs, and they had like butt, and, you know, they had legs, and they had calves, and they were just like, you know, beautiful buxom women. And that's what she reminded me of, because she was shaped just like them. She just happened to be Black. It kind of reminded me of damn, I can't remember who painted it. Oh my god, I think it might have been Da Vinci. God forgive me for like getting this wrong. But there's some Renaissance painter who painted the Venus, and like she's basically sitting on a chaise lounge, and basically like that woman reminded me of her. So I was shocked. So when I heard her talk about herself, and I heard her say what she thought she looked like, and when I actually looked like her, and I told her she didn't look like that, and she still didn't believe me, I realized she had body dysmorphia. And then it clicked in my mind, like, oh shit, like, my body dysmorphia is like really, really bad. And I said to her, wait a minute, like, you see yourself like this? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you look nothing like that. And then it like went a little bit further, and I was like, wait a minute, pause. So you mean to tell me I don't see myself the way that I look when I look in the mirror? And she's like, absolutely not. So that was that situation. That was like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I'd say about 2-3 months ago, I was talking to one of my exes, and we were just talking, and I like, for some reason, like, I always tell like the guys that I'm dating, or like that, like the physical upgrades I'm gonna do. I guess I think it's gonna make them excited to know that I'm actually gonna look better. Like, I don't know, like, it's fucking weird, but this is something I do. So I'll tell them, yeah, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna look like this, and by the time I'm done, I'm gonna look real good. And their response is always the same. Their response is like, why would you do that? You don't need to do anything. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you look fine the way you are. Like, don't. And like, they plead with me, and they're like, please don't do anything to yourself. Like, don't get a BBL. Like, and I don't want a BBL. Like, let's make that abundantly clear. If anything, I just want fake breasts, and I teeter and totter back and forth on that, because I have chronic pain, and I just foresee that shit just making it worse. So I don't think that's the greatest idea. Okay, let's get back on track here. So, yeah. So, like, he told me, like, literally, he said to me verbatim, I don't know what the fuck you see when you look in the mirror, but it's not you. And it made it, like, abundantly clear, like, there was some serious disconnect once again, because this is not a nice man. Like, let me make this abundantly clear. Like, this nigga is a fucking narcissist through and through. Like, we're not going to give him any more shine than he needs, but this is a fucking narc through and through, and he does not go around telling people compliments and making them fucking feel good. Like, that's not the nigga's MO. That's not the time he's on. That's not the shit he's on. So, like, to hear that from him, like, he actually fucking meant it. Like, And like, never mind, we're not gonna even get into it about him. But he actually meant it. So that shocked me. And so I said to him, wait, so the way that I think I look is not the way that I look? And he said the same thing. No. My ex-husband, this was like last year, said the same thing to me. He was like, you really don't know how the fuck you look. And he's like, I can't believe like the way you think that you look versus the way that you actually look. And it's just sad. And like, I've actually had another person who was a piece of shit. We won't get into that situation either. I was a piece of shit, but that surely was fine. All right. Oh, that nigga was fine. Whew. Yeah, that was a fine one. Wow. All right, but even he was like, yo, like, I forgot what did he say to me. I got so distracted thinking about what he looked like and getting all flushed and thinking about that versus like what he actually said to me. Oh, this is fucked up. What he said wasn't fucked up, but this is fucked up. Like, he said to me, I see so much more in you than you actually see in yourself, and that is actually very sad. So yeah. He did say that. I'm gonna take a pause there. Really clear, like, there is a serious disconnect between how I perceive myself to look and how I actually look. So, you know, you go on with your life, you have these insights and these epiphanies, and then you're like, okay, you move on, you deal with everyday life. Cool. So, fast forward. I ended up dating a guy. He was different from the usual guys I dated. He actually was like a Pan-African nationalist and exclusively only dates Black women. And initially, like, I thought this was like a good thing. And I would tell him about my body dysmorphia, and he would like reassure me. Like, so I have like a real big problem with my nose. Like, I used to hate my nose. Like, it's grown on me, and I don't think it's as bad now as I gotten older. And like, your nose and your ears are like the only two things on your body that continue to grow for the rest of your life. And my issue was that I didn't have like a nose bridge, so my nostrils were like really, really wide. But the older I get, the longer and more prominent my nose bridge becomes, so my nose does not appear as large and as bulbous as it used to be. But here's the thing about that. The fact that I had to dissect my nose and I had to give you all these explanations about it, and I put all this time and effort into looking at it and noticing that I was smaller and trying to figure out why, just shows you the amount of obsession and brain power that having, you know, body dysmorphia requires. Like, it's crazy because you obsess over your appearance all the time. You're constantly picking at yourself like this. You're constantly touching yourself. You're constantly like picking at your clothes. You're constantly looking at the mirror. You're constantly like picking yourself apart. Like, so when I look in the mirror, like, I found out that when most people look at people, or most people who don't have body dysmorphia, their eyes don't like move around. Like, so if you're looking at someone and you don't have body dysmorphia, you're going to look at their eyes, their nose, and their lips. That's it. And if their eyes, nose, and lips are in alignment, they're symmetrical. If basically if they're in alignment and they're symmetrical, you're gonna automatically think that person is attractive. If you have body dysmorphia, you're going to look at someone's face and you're going to look around all their face. Now, here's the thing about body dysmorphia. I notice my flaws, so therefore I notice everybody else's flaws too. I just don't say anything or pick it apart. So just like I notice every fucked up and weird thing that's wrong with my face and my body, I notice it on everybody else too. I just don't say anything. Now, someone who does not have body dysmorphia is probably not going to pick up on any of these perceived or minor flaws. Someone who does will. So when I look at my face, instead of just looking at my nose, lips, and eyes, which are decent and attractive features, I look at all the things that I don't like about myself. So I look at the fact that I'm aging and my cheeks are getting like swallow in here. I look at the fact that I don't like my jaw. I look at the fact that I had a tooth extracted in the back of my mouth, which I shouldn't. I should have gotten the fucking root canal, but I got scared, so I get it. Now I regret it. I think about the tooth that I had removed in lieu of a root canal, and how when I smile, there's like this wrinkle on this one side, but there's not a wrinkle on that side. I think about my hyperpigmentation. I think about how I have like these fine lines in my wrinkles if I don't use my skincare properly. And then sometimes I think about, well, I get my eyebrows threaded and I get them waxed, not waxed, sorry, I get them tinted, and sometimes I can't put moisturizer on my forehead because then, you know, it rubs out the tint, and that's just a waste of fucking money, and my eyebrows look really good when I do it. So I won't do it for 2 weeks, and then I'll have a line and I'll regret it. But again, look how obsessive and crazy that is. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, I'm 36 years old. I would say that again. I am 36 years old. Like, I'm supposed to have fine lines. Like, I'm supposed to have hyperpigmentation. So, fast forward. I have no idea where I am with time because, like, I have, like, different segments I'm going to have to put together. So, sorry if this is, like, OD long. So, yeah. So, like, let's go back. So, I met a guy. Nice guy, you know. Good character. A lot of fun. Let's stick to all the positive things. A lot of fun. Like I said, Pan-African nationalist, exclusively dates black women. Really loves black culture, all that stuff. So when I would tell him about, like, I wanted to get my face thread lifted and how, like, I hated my nose in pictures, or I hated when I smiled, the way that my nose got wider, like, it would really, like, bother him. So, like, he went on this quest to try to make me feel better about myself. And at first, it went very well. And it got to the point where I would be okay with, like, going out in public without makeup. That's not something I really do. Like, if I go outside, I do my makeup. In fact, like, when I meet a guy and we're, like, dating and, you know, it's time for, like, a sleepover time or whatever, like, probably for the first couple of weeks, like, I'll, like, go to sleep with my damn makeup on. So I'll wash my face because, again, I'm obsessed about skincare. So I'll wash my face before I go out. I'll do nighttime skincare, and then I'll pile on makeup on top of it. And then when I go home, I'll rewash my face and do my nighttime skincare routine so I don't miss out on it. But again, I say all this to highlight the level of obsession and time and anxiety that goes behind me doing all this. So at first it went well, you know, like I was starting to feel really good about myself. But then there were like a couple of things that made me feel insecure. One, in the beginning of our relationship, he had a wandering eye, and that began to bother me. I did talk to him about it. We did work on it. He did stop looking at females for the most part in my presence. So there was that. So that was nice, but that made me uncomfortable. And it's hard because, like, body dysmorphia can be misconstrued as, like, low self-esteem or insecurity. They can even run in tandem or in conjunction. In my case, that's not it. So here's the thing. Here's, like, the fucked up thing about me. I know for a fact I'm not ugly, right? I know this. This may be debatable to be some people, whatever. I know for a fact I'm not. And I actually deduce this by the type of experiences I have with men. And that's how I determine, okay, like, you're not ugly because ugly girls don't get to go on shopping sprees. Ugly girls don't get to go on speedboats. Ugly girls don't have men pay for their hair or nails. They don't get to, like, drive in Ferraris. Like, they don't get, like, there's certain privileges. Like, nobody looks at, like, I had to do some research. This sounds so pretentious, but I, like, actually had to do some research, and I actually had to find out about pretty privilege. Because I always thought, like, when a man liked you, and I say this to everyone, I always thought when a man liked you, he just did shit for you. Like, he bought you things and he took you places because he liked you. Like, that's how I thought all men were with every woman they liked. I just thought that's, like, what they did when they actually liked you and they wanted to be with you. Like, I thought that's how they won you over. Like, it sounds crazy as fuck, but, like, honestly, that's how I thought it was. Like, that's how it was in my world, and the women I knew, like, that's how shit went down for them. So That's how I thought it was for everybody. I actually had to do research to find out the way women who were not considered attractive at all were treated. And that's when I found out, oh shit, like, you have a set of privileges simply because of the way that you look. And once I realized that, I'm like, wait a minute. So if I have these privileges, I can't be as ugly as I think I am. Like, I just can't be. There's no way. It doesn't add up. And then once again, I realized there's a major disconnect with the way that I perceive myself and the way that other people see me. And my body dysmorphia, like, stems from, like, being bullied. So, like, I was bullied really badly in, like, elementary school. And, like, I didn't get bullied in middle school. I don't know what the fuck happened in middle school. Like, I moved back home. Yeah, I didn't really get bullied much in 7th or 8th grade. I don't know. I just didn't. I had nice clothes. I guess I was decent looking at the time. I just didn't really get bullied in 7th, 8th grade. So I got bullied in, like, probably, like, 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade. I didn't get bullied freshman year because I went to an all-girl Catholic school. There was only, like, 5 black people at the whole school. I didn't get bullied there. I got bullied bad sophomore year because I changed schools. And junior year, I didn't really get bullied. And senior year, I really didn't get bullied either. So really, it was just like 3rd through 6th grade. 3rd through 6th grade. Actually, no. Yeah, because Clarissa bullied me first before I moved to California. So yeah, it was like 3rd to 6th grade and then 10th grade. Yup, and it was just bullied. I was just bullied horribly. So, like, it was to the point, like, I used to wear, like, fake ponytail pieces. And, like, the little boys used to, like, pull my hair and, like, throw it all around and, like, play catch with it. They used to, like, kick soccer balls into my lunch. They would call me a Rottweiler, and they would bark when I would walk down the hall. They would tell me not to look at them. They would ask me why I was so ugly. They would ask me why I was so ugly and why my mom was so pretty. Then, like, and then it was, like, weird, because by the time I got to, like, 4th grade, I started, like, fucking going through puberty, and I started, like, developing breasts. Yeah, like, and so, like, they would make fun of me, but they were, like, sexually attracted to me, so then that shit got weird, too. So, like, they would bully me, but then they would, like, drop pencils and, like, look up my skirt, and then they would bully me, but I was such an empathetic person, because they were stupid as fuck, and they could barely read, and I was, like, one of the smartest kids in the class, so I would help them, and, like, they would bully me, and I would help them anyway, and then they would be looking down my shirt. So it was like this really weird, like, fucked up situation. And then when I grew up and I was in high school, I didn't get bullied, but I had a male best friend. And, like, when I was in high school, I spent a lot of time, like, in the street, I'm not gonna lie. And, like, not, like, having sex in the street. I was just, like, outside, like, all the time. Like, we'd be drinking, you know, we'd, like, pop ecstasy pills. Like, we were just out there. We were just outside. So, like, I would, like, pull up on, like, my best friend or whatever, and he would be outside, be, like, in the projects or whatever. There'd, like, be, like, a whole bunch of niggas. And, like, he would be like, yo, come through. So I would come through, we'd, like, chop it up real quick. I would talk to him or whatever. And, like, so after I left one day, he was like, yo, he told me, like, there's, like, at least, like, 5 guys there. And, like, one of them was like, yo, like, Raquel's got a nice body. And the other nigga was like, yeah, but she's, like, fucking ugly, though. And the nigga was like, yeah, she's fucking ugly, but, like, I still hit that shit, though. And they all agreed. They're like, yeah, like, I'd fuck her. I definitely would fuck that bitch. I'd fuck her. Even though, like, 2 of them flat out said that I was ugly. But they'd still fuck me, right? So, and my best friend told me this. And then, like, also in high school, sophomore year, I remember I was at lunch one day. In sophomore year, like, at the time, like, I was just, like, really stacked. Like, I was on birth control. And, like, I just had, like, really big titties. And they were, like, always, like, up to my damn chin. And, like, I remember I had, like, on this, like, red shirt, and it had like, you know, like one of those like built-in bras, so my tits were like up to my goddamn chin, because I'm also young too, so they're really perky. And like I went to lunch, and like one of the niggas at the lunch table was like, yo, your face does not match your body. And I remember being in lunch, and I just broke down, and I fucking cried. And I just cried, and I cried, and I cried. And it got to the point where he was like, he felt bad. He was like, why are you crying? And I remember everybody around me kept trying to lift my head, and I would not look up because I was so embarrassed and I was so ashamed. And I didn't want anybody to look at me. So there was that. So then I just like started doing things to dress more provocatively. And I figured, well, I'll just get attention for my body. And I used to like refer to myself as like a butterface. Like, you know, everything looks good, butterface. And that's actually how I developed body dysmorphia. So fast forward to today, now that I'm like 36 years old. So I'm 36 years old, I'm divorced. My body dysmorphia was exacerbated by my husband, my ex-husband. My ex-husband, God bless his soul, was, had a lot of issues, struggled with a lot of demons, and he would say some fucked up things about my appearance to hurt me on purpose. And I carried that with me too. And then there would be, after him and I broke up, I would date other guys, and it's weird because they would like gas me up in the beginning. And then like when I wouldn't do what they wanted, usually like they would try to have sex with me and I wouldn't have sex with them. At the time I had a really fucked up attitude. Let's put that in there. Like at the time I had a really bad attitude. So like I would like snap at them and kind of get disrespectful, and they would immediately talk about my physical appearance. And then I would feel like shit, and I would get depressed, and I would cry. And then I would have to work so hard to like make myself feel better. Like I remember one guy I was dating, he was such a fucking asshole. And really like I should preface this by saying, like, he was really upset and he was hurt because he told me flat out he wanted to be in a relationship with me, and I told him no. But at the time, like, he had already lost his job, he had already lost his car, he was eventually going to be evicted. There was no reason for us to be together. Like, why would I want to be with someone who didn't have any fucking resources? So basically, he was trying to mooch off of my shit. So eventually, he wanted to drive my car and live in my goddamn apartment. Like, that's where I foresaw the shit was heading. So I was like, nah, that's not gonna be like that. Like, and I guess he got mad because even though I didn't want to be with him, I kept sleeping with them. So, but you know, it was what it was. So I guess that's why he got really upset, and he tried to be with me a few times. One time, I think we were on, like, perks, and I laughed in his face. Like, I didn't even mean to. I was just high. So much information. At any rate, maybe I should edit that out. Oh, wow. That's what happened. At any rate, so I would go through these cycles where I would date people. We get into these horrible arguments, and then they would make me feel like shit, and they would say despicable shit about me and my physical appearance. So, fast forward, dating a guy, nice guy, drinks a lot. So me and him go out, we party, we drink a lot, spend a lot of fucking money on fucking bars, right? Clubs, not even clubs, bars, right? Lounges, speakeasies. So one night, this night we actually stayed in. I don't even think we went out. He likes these things called Henny Moscatos, and basically it's a blend of Moscato and Hennessy. Like red, not red, it's Rosé Moscato and Hennessy. And you just kind of pour it together. You put some ice in a cup, you pour your Moscato in, probably about 3/4 of the cup, and you pour the Hennessy in to your liking and to your taste, depending on the type of drinker that you are. So we drink heavy, so ours is brown rather than pink. That actually matters. So one night we're drinking. We're in my living room. You know, we're having fun. We're listening to music. We're dancing, you know. And I said something about Sexy Red. I can't remember what I said about her. And the week before, I just popped up, and I was like, babe, I got it. Just to fuck with him. I was like, babe, I got an important question. He's like, what? And I was like, I have a question for you, but I really need you to think about the answer and really take me serious when I ask. And he's like, what? Like, I'm nervous. And I'm like, yo, you would think Drake is Sexy Red's baby mother? Just like, I mean, sorry, you think Drake is Sexy Red's baby father? Like, randomly, right? So I brought her up that night randomly. I can't remember what the fuck I said. And he was like, this man, and I'm being respectful, this man had the nerve to tell me that I basically was his Sexy Red, and that me and her had the same facial structure. Now, upon hearing this fucking infuriated. At this point, I'm really drunk too. He's drunk. We get into a little bit of an argument. Not too bad. I'm just really mad. He ends up excusing himself and going into the bathroom. He comes out. I'm so mad. I keep saying the same thing over and over again. I'm like so mad. I keep saying, fuck out of here, nigga. Like, fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Like, are you serious? Fuck out of here. And I like literally said it over 10 times because that's how pissed I was. And it wasn't even just like the physical appearance or like the physical likeness. It was the type of person and the type of image that woman had. And I'm like, how could you even like compare us? Like, what the fuck do you think this shit is? Like, that's how you fucking see me? Like, I gotta lower my voice because I'm still mad. So we ended up getting into a big argument. He ended up going to his mom's house and fucking crying and waking everybody up, being all dramatic. Oh, I lost my girlfriend. Ended up like putting shit underneath the rug. His nephew was having a birthday party. It was like the first time I met the rest of his extended family outside of his mom. So they both thought that it would be best that I went. So I went anyway. Him and I ended up making up, had makeup sex or whatever, and just like kind of was like, yo, we'll just move forward. So we did. It was about 3 weeks ago. After that, I did not feel good about myself. After that, I would look in the mirror, I would feel ugly. After that, every time I would see another like attractive black woman, I would feel incredibly insecure. So 2 days ago, and this is really fucking stupid, 2 days ago, you know, my ex-boyfriend, because we broke up over all this shit, my ex-boyfriend likes Warhammer or whatever. He's like a real Warhammer nerd. So 2 days ago, he was telling me about the backstory of the Emperor and how he went to Mars and he manipulated the Martians to try to get them to fight for him because he needed some type of resource that they had. Can't remember what it was. And there was a typo. His phone suggested Amara instead of Mars. Now, I know, because I also have an iPhone, that it will autocorrect or suggest common names or words. Now, I know my ex is highly attracted to Amara Del Negro, whatever. Beautiful woman. Her. I know he's really attracted to her. So automatically, and she is gorgeous. Like, she's virtually almost perfect, right? So when I see her name, because I have body dysmorphia, I automatically start reeling. And this is why this is not an insecurity, because it becomes an obsession and then it just spirals out of control. So when I see that, I automatically shut down. I don't want to talk to him no more. I send him sad face emojis and that's it. He's like, why are you sad? I'm like, don't worry about it. Because before I sent him sad face emojis, I was like Amaro Del Negra. And he just like, he sent me like crying face emojis, like laughing type shit. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I sent him real crying face emojis. Stupid, right? So there was that. So he's like, what's wrong? I won't tell him. What's wrong? I won't tell him. Because I know it's petty. I know it's stupid. But it impacts me and it hurts me nonetheless, right? So there's that. So the next day, I'm just in a shitty ass mood. I can't sleep. I'm obsessed about my appearance. I'm anxious. I'm fidgety. I keep thinking about how ugly I am. I should also say that every day, every day, but not all day. Every day there's a voice that tells me I am ugly at least 2 or 3 times a day. Like, and it's random. It's just like, you're ugly. You're ugly. You're an ugly bitch. Like, and I just hear it every fucking day. Every day I have to look in the mirror and I have to check my skin and I have to make sure that it's improving because I have a lot of food allergies, and depending on what I eat depends on what my skin looks like. And if my skin's really bad, I can have a whole like crying fest over it and sit in the fucking bathroom. Now, granted, this shit sounds incredibly pretentious, like, oh, like, get over yourself. Like, you're that vain that you're bothered by a few dark marks on your face and the fact that you're not the best looking human on the planet, right? Not even that you're unattractive, like, you're not like top 10, right? You're that fucking conceited and your world is that great that you can just focus on your physical appearance, like, right? Just like I have an issue with weight. Doesn't matter. So when I'm skinny, I feel like I need to gain more weight. When I gain the weight, which I've gained now, I feel incredibly fat, like a fucking cow. I feel like a goddamn cow right now. This is the heaviest I've been in like 10 years. And I put on this fucking weight for my goddamn boyfriend. And I hate it. Only thing I like is the fact that I actually have boobs now. She can't even tell on this camera, but I do. Right. I feel like this is just emotional vomit, and maybe I should just stop recording, but I'm here. So I'm gonna wrap this up very soon, and I guess I'm gonna get to the point because I'm pretty sure people are tired of hearing me ramble. So I saw Amaro Del Negra on his phone. Not literally. I saw Amara, and I made this conclusion that of course he's been looking at her because of course he hasn't, right? And I immediately shut down. And then the next day I felt like shit. I could not sleep that night. I tossed and I turned. I had nightmares. I stared in the mirror and I thought about how ugly I was. I cried. It was just like a fucking mess. I didn't want to go anywhere. I avoided my parents. Like, I didn't go outside. Well, no, that's not true. I did go outside. I had to go outside because I needed Christmas lights for my decorations. So, yeah, I had to go outside. But I wore my sunglasses. I was just, like, mad squirrely. Like, I didn't interact with people. I didn't smile at them. I didn't look at anybody. I didn't look at anybody. I didn't look anybody in the eye, right? So, I wasn't feeling well. I was agitated. I had issues with my phone with Cash App and Apple Pay and Venmo and Zelle after I did the fucking iOS 18 update. I just had a really bad day, and I was like kind of like short with my boyfriend, and like I was kind of like distant. And finally asked him like, yo, can we actually talk about something? Because he knows I struggle with some serious things, and this is just one of them. And shout outs to him for trying though. And he was like, you know, when you have a problem, when you're feeling like this, just tell me. I'll walk you through it. And we'll talk about it. And, you know, we'll come up with a solution. So I called him. Immediately, the conversation went left because he's very defensive at the fact that I'm hurt that, you know, he compared me to Sexy Red. Like, because this was a point of contention for me. And we broke up over this initially. So when I brought it up, he was confused why I was still bothered 6 weeks later. Not 6 weeks later, 3 weeks later. And we ended up like getting into it again. And we ended up breaking up. And we're still broken up because of this shit. And basically, what happened was because he compared me to her, my body dysmorphia escalated to the point where I got so low, I wanted to fucking kill myself. And it got to the point where I had come up with multiple ways to do it. And it had gotten to the point where I literally was like, okay, I think that, you know, a lot of times suicide is based off of impulsivity. And emotions, like, fluctuate and they move around. Like, for instance, I don't want to kill myself now. About 3 hours ago, I did, right? So I always tell myself, you know, just wait. So I tell myself, look, like, if you really want to, you know, stop everything, then you can do X, Y, and Z. I don't think I'm supposed to say what I wanted to do, so we won't. You can do X, Y, and Z in 2 days. If you still feel like this in 2 days, then you can go ahead and do that, and you can just, you know, close this out and just be no more, right? So I told myself this, and I also expressed this to him. And I just spiraled out of control. Like, I said to him, you know what, like, I'm just gonna get my tits and ass done, and you know what, like, fuck it, like, I'll just make a bunch of money and like join OnlyFans, you know, since I'm a fucking whore anyway, because that's what you're comparing me to. And it sounds like so fucking dramatic, and it is. But the problem is, it's a mental disorder. So once I get to this point, it's very hard for me to course direct and like find my footing and reground myself. Like, and I just went out of control. And like finally we hung up because I got to the point where before him, like I had a sub. Like, I was his mistress and he was my submissive. It was like a whole BDSM relationship type thing where we didn't actually have intercourse. So I told him, look, like, I'm going to call my sub. I'm going to go to his liquor store because he owns a few liquor stores, a few properties as well. I'm going to go call my sub. I'm going to go to his liquor store and, you know, I'm going to see, you know, if he can get me something strong or whatever. And at that point, we had hung up. So, I say all this to say this. Body dysmorphia is debilitating. And although it may seemingly be insignificant from the outside in, if you know anyone who has this, they're going through hell internally. And they are constantly picking at themselves. And they are constantly beating up at themselves. And they're constantly in anxiety about something that you probably don't even see as an issue, a flaw, or a problem. So if there's someone in your life who's always asking you, how do I look? Or talks about a physical perceived flaw, please do not try to get short with them. Please try to be patient with them. And don't yell at them when they feel that way. And try not to be frustrated because they really can't help how they feel. They can't help the way that they see themselves. And sometimes they can't even help when they spiral out of control. So on that note, I'm going to conclude this. I am Raquel and I have body dysmorphia. Take care. Bye.